Okay, this is my video for UFC 116, which is coming on Saturday. Also touch on Fedor's loss. Also touch on Sherdog's new heavyweight rankings, which came out this morning. Okay, Fedor's loss. Fedor lost to Fabricio Verdum in 69 seconds Saturday. He lost by triangle slash armbar. I feel like he may have been a bit rambunctious. I believe that. If it was complete game planning, Fabricio Verdum is a genius. You know, he didn't really pull guard. He kind of baited him in. You know, baited him into the ground game a little bit. And you know, he jumps in. I can't remember the first submission he did. He attempted. Fedor kind of got out easily, but when he did it, it's like Verdum twisted around and positioned him against the cage, to where he couldn't really go anywhere, but sort of just start, just throwing fucking haymakers. And I mean, he caught him right there. I mean, we saw against Brett Rogers, we saw some frustration on Fedor's part. Being in the cage for the first time, and that's acceptable. I mean, some of the best fighters in the world come to the cage for the first time and had a lot of difficulty. Shogun and Forrest Griffin. I mean, that's an obvious example. Anyway, I'm not a Fedor fan. I don't want you to think what I said was making excuses for him, because I would not make excuses for Fedor. I respect him as a legendary fighter. He's had awesome finishes. I mean, he's got some awesome highlights and a great record. I honestly consider him to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. My favorite heavyweight of all time would be Minotaur Nogueira. I consider Fedor to be the greatest, though. He beat Nogueira. I think Nogueira is one of the best. A couple other guys you might want to put in there, but in the modern era, Mark Coleman had success and things like that. But you toss it around, and not even a comparison. Fedor Emelianenko is the best heavyweight of all time. I feel like his loss may be a good thing for the sport of MMA. I am one of those people that believe that the failure of Strikeforce would actually further the sport of MMA. I know a lot of people that don't like the UFC want to act like that it would just give this big monopoly and everything. But when it comes down to it, I'm not in their finances. I'm not in things like that. That's their deal. If people want to fight, they sign the contract. They know how much they're getting paid. Everything like that. I know the UFC entertains me. I know the UFC has now straight up, every top fighter in the world, according to big rankings, they're on the UFC now. The heavyweight is a bit disputable, which I'll get to, but if Strikeforce fails, a lot of guys that you guys love so much, which honestly they're good fighters, but you give them way too much praise, like Mousasi, Jakari, and I don't want to put Fedor in that class because I understand the praise that he gets to a degree, but we would get to see these guys fight the other guys. You have this pool of talent, like, for example, in the light heavyweight division. You have Mauricio Shogun Hua, you have Lyoto Machida, you have Rashad Evans. I mean, you all know the awesome light heavyweight fighters in the UFC, but, people want to say Mousasi can beat these guys, and it's just so ridiculous. Because, first of all, I really don't think he could. But, we could at least see, we could see what would happen if Strikeforce would fail. And I believe that the loss to Fedor was another step toward the fail of Strikeforce. If they don't put him against Verdum again immediately, if they try to put him against like Bigfoot Silva or something like that, it's not going to be good for Strikeforce. It's just not. Anyway, that's Fedor's loss. Obviously, if they have a rematch with Verdum, I completely pick him to win, everything like that. I feel like he's dodged fights for the last 5 years. So I'm not upset to see this happen. This isn't boxing, it's MMA. I'd like to see him fight the top guys. He's the only top guy that's not in the UFC as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, the rankings. Who Sherdog thinks are the top heavyweights right now. Number 1 is Brock Lesnar. Number 2 is Fabricio Verdum. Fedor Emelianenko. Number 4 is Cain Velasquez. Number 5 is Shane Carwin. Number 6 is Frank Mir. Number 7 is Junior Dos Santos. Number 8 is Alistair Overeem. Number 9 is Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. And number 10 is Antonio Silva. I guess I agree with these rankings. I mean, you can't really argue with them. Some people I've already heard say Junior Dos Santos should be over Fabricio Verdum, and so what? Or whatever. And then, I don't completely agree with this, I don't agree with that sentiment. I mean, a lot of these guys have lost to one another, but they're still, Frank Mir is, 5 spots below Brock Lesnar right now, for good reason, But I feel like this ranking is a bit premature. This is completely predicated upon Saturday's events. I'm not really sure why they put this out right now. They're just going to, there's a chance they're going to have to change it. Even if Carwin comes out and he's impressive, I think he could actually leapfrog maybe Cain Velasquez. I doubt they put Fedor below number 3. I feel like putting Fabricio Verdum at number 2 is actually making up for putting Brock at number one for a lot of you guys that are going to be so upset about it. You know, because everybody's like, oh, Fabrizio Verdum, he's a mid-tier fighter, you know. Which, to a degree, you know, you can make the case for that. However, now they're going to be like, well, he's the number 2 heavyweight in the world now, so, you know, it's not that big of a deal that he lost to him. So, you know, it counteracts if you want to look at it that way. I mean, this shit's completely, you know, it's very political anyway. And they don't want to alienate either fan base. So there you go. There you go. All right, anyway. Saturday, you know, UFC 116. It can completely change these rankings around. I mean, if Brock loses, it's hard to tell where he lands. Obviously, it's how he loses, or, you know, however. You know, so I feel like it's a bit premature. These rankings are supposed to have some, you know, legitimacy to them. If Brock gets decimated, then, you know, you're defeating the purpose of what you're doing. Anyway. For my predictions, let me pull up the thing. There they are. Okay. I feel like Kendall Grove's going to get a win. I'd like to see him get a win standing. I thought he was extremely impressive against Mark Munoz in that first round. To the point where I almost thought it should be stopped. Good thing it wasn't, I suppose, because, you know, Mark Munoz recovered and did his thing. I'm extremely excited for the Mark Munoz Yushin Okami fight. I'm a huge Yushin Okami fan. He's probably one of my top 3 favorite fighters. Okay, Seth Petrozelli, Ricardo Romero. I'm going to pick Ricardo Romero to win that. I'm going to pick Brendan Schaub to win. Probably go longer than his last fight. Maybe see some wrestling from his side. Maybe see some ground game. You know, maybe see a slam or something like that. I see him going for something like that. All right, I see George Soteropoulos. I see him pretty much doing the same thing he did in Australia. I see him squeaking out a unanimous decision over Kurt Pellegrino. I believe Kurt Pellegrino. Nobody's really been pushing him up outside of the UFC. The UFC have been trying to, you know, sort of push him up and get him a little more press, things like that. You know, I don't think it's warranted. I really don't. I think he's a gatekeeper at best. I see George Soteropoulos getting through him and then moving up as he should. I think, you know, if you look at Soteropoulos' record, he has a very impressive record. I mean, not the most awesome quality of victories or whatever, you know, but, you know, dude's never really, you know, he hasn't like lost a bunch. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think he might have 2 losses, one of them's DQ, something like that. Anyway, I feel like Shazinski knocks out Bonner, maybe the second round. Should be a good fight though. Both guys like to scrap. Chris Lytle, Matt Brown. I see Lytle taking this pretty easily. I'm not sure why Matt Brown's on the main card right now. I didn't think he looked impressive in his last fight. Lytle is next to impossible to finish, so I see that going down. Yoshihiro Akiyama, Chris Lieben. I see Akiyama win by a decision. I was extremely disappointed to see Vonderlei not be in this fight. Remind me of Rogerio and Forrest Griffin. I was much more excited for that fight than Rashad and Rampage, which I believe, you know, a lot of people probably were. Horrible it didn't go down. Anyway, I see Yoshihiro. I think he's more technical standing. I think Chris Lieben, I think he's bitten off a little more than he could chew. I see Akiyama winning. I hope I see some judo too, because, you know, way devoid of judo in the UFC right now. I'd love to see some good judo action there. Anyway, Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin. This is explosive. I mean, there's no way around it. Personally, I'm rooting for Brock Lesnar to win. I think he's good for the sport. I think he's entertaining. I don't care if he flips off the crowd. I don't care if he says he wants to fuck his wife. I don't care. I'm watching them fight. I'm not watching a talk show, you know. Carwin, though, I mean, he surprised me against Frank Mir. I feel like he kind of snuck in on Mir. Not saying that he couldn't beat Mir again, because I think he probably could, but, you know, he seemed gassed. I think Mir was trying to, you know, be the veteran, be the smart guy or whatever, and he just started pounding him away. I mean, put him down. I mean, that shit should have been over, 20 seconds before it was. Dan Miragliotta, I mean, you know, gave us fucking blood that night. There's no doubt about it. Brock, I feel like he has a superior wrestling. I think the guy that has the cardio advantage here, whoever it may be, is going to end up winning the fight. If Brock has the cardio advantage, I feel like he could squeak out a decision, even though it is 5 rounds. If Carwin has the cardio, I see maybe a second or third round knockout, assuming he doesn't knock him out in the first round, which would be amazing, yet, you know, be kind of disappointing if you're a Brock fan. Anyway, I'm going to pick Brock by a third round TKO. Even though I wouldn't be surprised by a decision, I wouldn't be surprised by Carwin knocking him out. Alrighty.